As someone who is an avid lover of the dark academia aesthetic, in the past year or so I have accumulated plenty of dark academia books, some of which I read and some of which I have not read. And so in this video I read 3 dark academia books that I've been wanting to read for quite some time, and I'm very happy to add these 3 books to the long-ish list of dark academia books I've read. The first book I read was Ace of Spades by Farida BKE Mide. This is one of the most talked about young adult releases of the whole year so far and was one of my most anticipated books of the year. This is a young adult dark academia book set at an elite private school, and all is going great until suddenly Aces appears. And Aces is anonymously messaging the whole school secrets about several people at the school, but specifically Chiamaka and Devon. Chiamaka is one of the most popular girls in school, while Devon is much quieter and lesser known in the school, and the two of them must come together to try and figure out who Aces is and protect themselves from having their lives entirely ruined. The second book I read is yet another 2021 Dark Academia release, and that book is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, author of The Silent Patient. This follows a group therapist named Mariana whose niece attends Cambridge, and she suddenly inserts herself into a murder investigation once one of her niece's friends is brutally murdered on the college campus, and she is nearly 100% certain that the murderer is a professor who seems to have a strange group of young girls looking up to him and potentially in some sort of cult titled The Maidens. And then the final book I read, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which is a book that I've been wanting to read for quite some time since it was initially released back in 2019. This follows Alex Stern, a girl who can see ghosts, or as they're called in the book, greys, and she is given a full ride scholarship to Yale after she is the sole survivor of a certain incident. And when she goes to Yale, she discovers plenty of secret societies, all of which dealing into various types of magic, some of which including the greys that she can see and have been plaguing her life since her childhood. So let's get started. It's like kind of my first day of school, like it is, but I only have to go in for an hour to like an assembly, and then tomorrow is like my first day of actually going to my classes. But as I do my makeup, I'm gonna try and talk to you about Ace of Spades. So I'm 50 pages in, and so far I am really enjoying it. I feel like so much has happened in the first 50 pages and there's already so much suspense and tension, and I'm already loving the 2 POVs that we're following, and the transitions between the 2 perspectives are happening at like the perfect time. Like last night when I stopped reading, I was like, I need to read more, but I also need to go to bed because I have my first day of school tomorrow. I'm very excited to get to reading it again later on today, hopefully, because I can tell that it is going to be a wild ride, and that I think it is going to go sufficiently dark for a young adult thriller, which is so funny because I saw this on TikTok that I can't stop thinking about, where someone like said it had like a bunch of likes too, but someone said when you go into Ace of Spades expecting a fun mystery and then it turns out to, I don't know, include a bunch of trigger warnings or something. Like, what did you think was gonna happen in a thriller? Have you never read a thriller before? And I think that's the thing. I think it's just that people don't read a bunch of thrillers, and then they do read a thriller and probably expect it, yeah, to be some sort of fun mystery. But like, I think it's the people that are reading it and then talking about it on TikTok that potentially are marketing it as like a fun mystery, but it's marketed as a thriller, and thrillers are not fun mysteries. It just felt like a weird criticism of the book, not to mention that Ace of Spades has been consistently marketed as like a dark academia book. What do you think the dark in dark academia means? What do you think happens in the secret history? It's not a big deal. I'm making it sound like I'm more annoyed about it than I am, but I just thought I'd mention that. I don't have too much to say about it because I'm only 50 pages in, but I will say that so far I have a really good feeling about this book, and I think it might change my opinions on why thrillers all being bad. Hello. I just finished filming a video and I talked for way too long and now my throat hurts, but it's now 4 days or so since I last updated you. I'm still reading Ace of Spades. I'm currently on page 227, which is a little over halfway, or about exactly halfway. I'm still really enjoying this, but because school has started, it is definitely an adjustment because I went from having school online to having it for around like 2 hours a day to now having it back to normal, having it for like 6 to 7 hours a day basically. So it's definitely an adjustment, which means that I'm having a hard time including time to read this. So I am getting through it quite slowly, even though if I had more time, I would be getting through this much faster because it is still very engaging. I can't get over how like well written this is, or like how well paced it is. I mean, I do think that there was a bit of a slow bit, but I think that things are going to start picking up again, because like the first 50 to 100 pages were very fast, but then I think in between page 100 and 200 things got a little bit slower. But I am eagerly awaiting something like big to happen and for things to start kicking up again, because I'm looking forward to seeing where things go, and I'm looking forward to like the grand reveal of who Aces is. And I'm also looking forward to the way that character relationships in here are going to develop. We spent quite some time building up or discussing romance in here with the two main characters, not with each other, with separate people. It definitely has a good focus on the characters and their teenage romance stuff, which is something that I think when specifically picking up like a young adult dark academia book, I am looking for the combination of like the dark academia, dark thrillery vibes, and the academic rivalry intensity. I don't even know what I'm just saying words at this point. I'm tired. Whatever. Specifically in a young adult dark academia, I'm also looking for characters, and I'm looking for that high school setting and like the combination of adult dark academia books with some things that you may find in like the average young adult contemporary, such as like there's definitely high school drama, relationships, setting, etc. happening in here. And I love how this book doesn't try to shy away from the fact that they're like high school students. Point is, this combines traditional dark academia elements, not purely the aesthetics, with high school drama and stuff like that, combined with the fact that it is commenting on racism within dark academia and within academic institutions. And it is, I don't want to say too much because I'm only halfway in, but it is incredible so far, and I hope that things continue to go incredibly. As of right now, I predict that this is going to be a 4 or 4.5, but I guess I should just shut up about my ratings. I learned that from reading The Song of Achilles. I should just shut up every time I mention a rating, so I'm zipping my lips. That is all. Oh, is my outfit dark academia enough for you? This is it, plus with black Converse that are on my floor. Dark academia, guys. On the topic of like dark academia as a style and as an aesthetic, I do think that there are certain elements, or quite a few elements of my style, that are inspired by like the dark academia aesthetic and is something that I would use to describe my style. So I think this shirt and I guess the pearl necklace, I don't, this is why I don't like talking about the dark academia aesthetic, because then it gets so like limited. It's like, is a pearl necklace really dark academia, or is that like light academia? I'm like, shut up, please. I'm sorry, I'm coming off rude. I don't hate people that like love the dark academia aesthetic, but I do think that the focus should be on the books themselves and like I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think the focus should be on the books and not the clothes that characters may wear, or that you should be wearing in your own personal life, and that you should be embodying the dark academia mindset into literally every single thing that you do in your life. School is wearing me down a little bit, but I think that's only part of the dark academia experience. Anyways, good night. I got school tomorrow. Gotta turn into my own dark academia protagonist. Channeling Giamacca, who I love as a protagonist too. That's unrelated, but she is a great character. Anyways, good night. Hi, I'm about to go to bed, but I just finished reading Ace of Spades. I just sat down here at my desk and I was like, oh, I'm gonna read 10 pages because I have like 40 pages left, but then I read all final 40 pages in one sitting at my desk because this was really good. I'll do a more concise review in the morning. Hi there! It is now a few days later, and I have, as I said, finished Ace of Spades. Like, I finished this a few days ago, and so I've had enough time to let the story marinate in my brain and for me to kind of decide upon a rating and my feelings towards this. I had a pretty good idea of what rating I'd probably end up giving it, like, quite early on into the book. This is a very solid 4-star, which I'm very happy with, because I think, as I briefly mentioned, young adult thrillers tend to be very hit or miss, typically a miss. I think it's really challenging to balance like the elements that I love in all young adult books with the elements I love in like an adult thriller, but this book definitely struck the perfect balance between having really good characters in like a high school setting and having like romantic relationships and other teenage struggles I think are necessary to be talked about in YA books, while also including like a mystery plot and like thrilling things. Suspense and tension was definitely present in this book from the second that I picked it up, as I mentioned. I was very interested to see where things went. In terms of the ending and like the final reveal, I like it, but I feel like it could have been better. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why this is a 4-star, because like there isn't anything that I actively disliked in here. I liked all of it, and I really liked some parts of it. Like I really liked the two main characters and their individual storylines, and then how they had to work together to fight the greater evil, being aces. But the ending, I just think could have been, I don't know if I want to say shocking, because it's not like I predicted the ending, but I kind of feel like it could have been more complex, maybe. I feel like there could have been more elements introduced and maybe more reveals at the end. I don't know. I feel like we were building up to the ending for so long, as this is a relatively long book. It's like 414 pages, I think exactly, which that isn't actually too long. But I think that we were building up to the ending and the final climax for the entirety of the story, but then once it kind of happened, it went by really fast, and I didn't feel as like on the edge of my seat as I wished I could have been, because before that there were multiple moments. Like I was reading this at school and then there was a moment where I was sitting at my desk reading it and I was like, oh my god. I also didn't really love the epilogue because I don't love the relationship that ends up happening in here, and I wish that said person ended up with a different person. I love how different the two main characters are, because sometimes when you're reading a book with two perspectives, it can be very annoying when the two main characters feel like they're the same person or very similar and have very similar narration of things. Maybe I'm just comparing this to the last book I read, which was She's Too Pretty to Burn, and that is another young adult thriller that did not work for me, unfortunately. And I think that reading this immediately after just made me realize how much better this one is, because they both had dual perspectives, but the dual perspectives in here was done so much better and but felt so much more effective. It was so good. It was really good. It definitely lived up to my expectations. This is one of my most anticipated books of 2021, as was She's Too Pretty to Burn, but we'll forget about that. I would highly recommend this if you're looking for a young adult dark academia book, because it definitely combined everything together so perfectly and is everything that I like want in a young adult dark academia book, because I don't want a young adult dark academia book to feel like it is just an adult book repackaged to fit a young adult audience and where the characters basically act like college students. Like, if that's the case, just make it an adult book. I love how Ace of Spades really didn't shy away from the fact that it was an adult book and that these were characters in high school and that they were teenagers and that they weren't acting like adults. They were acting like teenagers, but they were teenagers who were faced with something so evil and terrible, aces, trying to completely ruin their lives, and like it was really good. So yeah, if you love reading adult books but you also love dark academia books, absolutely go pick this one up. Great way to kick off this video. But the next book that I'm reading is The Maidens. I'm currently on page 25. It is good so far. I'm looking forward to this hopefully having a really strong emphasis on the characters, because that's something I love in thrillers and all books in general. I'm done talking about this. I have not gotten far enough into it for me to give you any information on like what's happening, how I'm feeling, how I'm liking it. Good books. Ace of Spades was very, very good. The Maidens is good so far, but I've also seen very mixed reviews for this, and I'm interested to see where I fall on the spectrum. Good morning. I'm currently in the process of doing my eyeliner. It is Tuesday morning. I'm on page 150, I think, of The Maidens. I feel like not that much has happened yet. I feel like there's just a lot of setup that needs to be done, but I am having a good time reading it. I was reading it a bunch in my graphics class yesterday. Anyways, that was a really bad update. I don't know what my point is. Can we take a moment to appreciate the fact that my outfit unintentionally, almost perfectly matches the cover for The Maidens? Like, I'm on page 175. I honestly have very minimal thoughts. It's like good, and I want to know what happens because things have been really slow so far, but I'm waiting for them to get better and for things to get more thrilling, because I know that the plot twist is very polarizing, I think. So we'll see when I have thoughts to tell you. Hi, I got some updates for you. I also just put up that poster behind me and the ghost banner above it that I got from the dollar store, hence it looking quite, you know what, you probably can't even see it, it doesn't matter. So I finished The Maidens, and I know I didn't do a very good job updating my thoughts on this book or like talking about it as I was reading it. Honestly, I didn't really have anything to update you on because I was just like reading it and enjoying it, but really just not, like with Ace of Spades I felt more passionate about it and had like things I wanted to talk about, whereas this I don't have too many thoughts on. I ended up giving it 3 stars, which is a pretty standard rating whenever I read a thriller, as this is definitely, in terms of all like the adult dark academia books I've read, this is the one that read most like a traditional thriller, which is what I'm accustomed to reading most of the time, except it had a dark academia setting and some attempts at like including, not, I don't want to, that sounds too mean, that sounds mean, but like there's Greek mythology elements in here. So in this I was most interested in, I guess, finding out which of the many red herrings there were in here. I was just trying to figure out which ones were true, and I felt really confident for some reason. Like I just had a moment where I was like, oh my god, that would make so much sense, and I was wrong. Pretty damn wrong. I thought like the most red herring of all red herrings was actually the true thing. I don't know. I had a fun time reading this, specifically like the last 75-ish pages I read all in one sitting, and I was like actively really trying to guess what was going to happen. And so then when the ending did happen, I was very caught off guard by the plot twist, and I audibly like gasped and was like reading it like, no way did that just happen, but not in necessarily a negative way. I don't hate the ending of this, but I really think that this could have been better structured or refined, because like there are just so many red herrings in here, and I don't want to make this like spoilery, but just the end resolution, like the final plot twist, I don't know, something about the ending, for some reason this doesn't even feel like it was a full book. Like I feel like nothing really happened in it, and I didn't feel tension until I guess the very end. So that's my attempt at a review for this. 3 stars. Are we surprised? No, but I don't have the same like burning hatred for this that I've seen some people have, but I also don't have the same love for this that I've seen other people have. And I wouldn't really recommend it if you're looking for a dark academia book. I think that there are plenty of books that are better than this, but if you're interested in this, because it is like one of the most talked about thriller releases of 2021, that's for sure, I would still recommend it, I think. At this point I'm fine with reading mediocre 3-star thrillers, because when you do find one that you really like, it's like finding gold, and I think that the satisfaction of finally finding that maybe outweighs reading some that are just fine. So the book I've decided to read next is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I am so happy that this recently came out in mass market paperback and that I was able to buy said mass market paperback. I only read like 5 pages of this last night, so I'm not even gonna try and give you any of my thoughts yet, any of my feelings, any of my attempts at describing what's going on in here. What I will say is that I'm excited to read this, and my expectations are totally open. Like, zero idea where this is going to go, like zero idea what this is even about really, and zero idea of how I'm gonna feel about it, but I'm very excited to see where this goes and how dark it may get. And then finally, on the topic of dark academia books, I just want to talk about the fact that this morning I saw some, I don't even know, I saw something about These Violent Delights. I saw something talking about this, and then I remembered how I saw another thing recently saying that this was coming out in paperback, and I was like, oh my god, I wanted to read that. I've heard it's like, it sounds like something I will love, and it's a dark academia book as well. And so I was like, I really want to read that. I'm really happy that it has recently come out in paperback, because then I'm trying not to buy as many books right now because I have plenty to read. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, once I've read a substantial chunk of the books I already own and I want to go to like Indigo, for example, and buy a brand new book, maybe that'll be one of the ones I pick, or I'll look for it at my local library. And then like 3 or so hours later, I go to the grocery store, and I always look at the book section because I found some other good books there before, and I found this, and I was like shocked. And it was sitting beside the Song of Achilles, and I was upset that I saw the Song of Achilles because it was like for $13 when I got my copy for like $22 out of London Drugs, but it doesn't matter. Point is, I was very overjoyed when I saw this, and I can't believe I got it from the grocery store, and especially on a day where, like, vividly this morning I was thinking like, oh my god, I can't wait to read that and hopefully buy a copy of it in paperback. So although I don't think I'm gonna read this in this reading vlog, I am hoping to dive into this very soon, because in the past week or so I've been seeing like so many more TikToks and other things just talking about this, and I'm excited. I guess I'll update you once I've started Ninth House. Hello. It's been well over a week since I last updated you on Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. The main reason why I haven't updated you is because I haven't read too much. I'm currently on page 224, and this is like 600 something pages long, at least my copy, which has been sufficiently cracked and bruised from being put in my bag every single time I go to school. I don't think that there's even too much to say as to why I haven't been updating you at all, because I've just been having a really busy week and I haven't had much time to read, and this book does not have an easy start. I definitely had a challenge getting into this and getting really invested in it, but let me tell you, I'm really enjoying it. Like, it took me literally until like page 200 for me to really feel like really wanting to read this. Today is Tuesday, it is 8 p.m. basically, and I've just been writing a lot and going to school and doing schoolwork, and I have projects to do this week and tests and stuff, and so I knew that this was kind of a bad idea to put this book in this video because it's very long and it is rather dense. It has, yeah, I should talk about the actual book. It has a really, I don't know if I want to say complicated magic system, but there definitely was a lot of explaining in the beginning that had to be done, and it kind of just thrust you right in there, and there's alternating timelines as well, and like perspectives that you're following, although it's like third-person perspective. There's a lot going on in here, so, and I totally understand why Leigh Bardugo, who I love, I totally understand why she took so much time in the beginning, or not even took so much time, but why this was challenging to get into, because there is so much explaining that has to be done, and it is overwhelming at first, and like I didn't really know what was going on, and I kept on feeling, I hate this feeling of when you're reading something and then you feel like you weren't fully paying attention, so you feel like you need to go back, but then you do go back and you understand it enough that it feels pointless, because that's how I felt with this book for like the first 100 pages probably. But now I'm invested in every single thing that's going on in here. There is a bit of a mystery. Basically, Alex is investigating the death of a girl on her, not on her campus, well, the death of a girl, and she is convinced that there are some sinister things that happened with her death and that it is not just her boyfriend who murdered her, as the police are saying, and so she is trying to investigate that. And yeah, there's a lot going on in here, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Well, that's not technically true, because it's not that I wasn't enjoying it at first, but I was just kind of like, I don't really know what's happening, but then now, currently, I'm really enjoying it. I feel like right now this is probably a 4-star, if it has the potential to be a 5. That's pretty big praise, but like when I was reading this like 2 nights ago or something, I was like, I'm loving this. And that's like my favorite thing about reading a book, is just that like being so sucked into it and just loving every second of it, and also like thinking about the book while you're doing other things in your life, which is definitely the case with this. I've been like thinking about it and just reflecting on all the stuff that has happened so far, and now that I've updated you on my thoughts, I'm feeling more ready to sit down and try and get this fat chunk of a book finished. Clearly, in case you can't tell, I am reading before I go to bed, and I just want to say that I'm screaming over this, and it's not even like, I can't even get through the page because I'm screaming so much, and I don't even know why, because there's no reason why I should be invested in a relationship in a book like this. Good morning. It's currently 7:30 a.m. on a Friday. I have a cat on my lap. I have a cup of coffee in front of me, and here's the plan for today. I am going to finish Ninth House, and I have that much left, so I think it's about 250 pages. Hello. I'm reading Ninth House. I just sat down to start reading, and I have like about 200 pages left. Something has been revealed, and it's so good. I'm loving this book so much. Yes, something has just been revealed and I'm ready to dive into this and hopefully try and finish it today. Update, I read about 100 pages today. I'm currently on page 458 and I really want to keep on reading and I really want to find out what happens because I know that there's going to be several, I think that there's going to be like several reveals and like the ending is going to be really exciting to read, but at the same time I'm kind of like wanting to take a break and not knowing if I'm going to be able to finish this today, but at the same time I'm like, good morning. I didn't finish reading Ninth House. I am currently on precisely page 500. I'm scared. I have the impression that the last 500 pages are going to be a wild ride and that the ending is going to end on a cliffhanger because it is supposed to be a series and there's been no release. This book came out in 2019 and since then there hasn't really been any news on the second book and I'm scared because I am so excited that this is going to be a long series because I feel like I remember people saying it's going to be a 5 or 6 book long series, but I don't know if that has changed, but I do know that like a sequel has been confirmed. As someone who traditionally doesn't love fantasy, I am loving all of the fantasy elements in it. It's like very ghostly magic. I don't know, I love it. I love the magic in it so much. It's just something that typically I would never say because I don't love fantasy that much, but the way the world that Leigh Bardugo has created is something. I already knew she could do it because I've read Six of Crows, but there's something about the world of Ninth House and there's something about the magic system that I'm loving. And the characters as well. I love Alex as the main character. I love Darlington as well. I think everybody loves Darlington. There's something about Darlington and Alex that is just doing something to me. It's clicking. Literally after reading Ninth House, I have been inspired to start thinking of Alex Stern every time I wear a black tank top. So here we are. I finished Ninth House. This book, 5 stars. I think when it comes to my higher ratings, like anything 4 and above, I get so indecisive because I just want to make sure that the books that I rate really highly are all like that the highest possible rating I can give a book is given to the right books. So maybe this is a 4.5, maybe it's a 4, but I'm going with a 5. I know that so many people hate this book. I know that so many people think that this book, like, I will fully acknowledge that this book is full of so many flaws. It's not an easy book to read. I myself, despite giving it 5 stars, had a really hard time getting through this. In case you couldn't tell by me reading like 150 pages over the span of a week, which was also due to me having a bunch of like other things that were stressing me out. But even after that, I did find that this was challenging to read because it is packed with so much stuff. There's so much that goes on in here. It is the first book in a series. Don't even get me started. I want the sequel to this so badly, especially after reading that ending. Don't even get me started. I mean, I'm so happy that I love this book because that makes me really excited for what is coming in this story and in this world that she managed to create in this first book. And so I think that was one of this book's biggest flaws, is that because it's the first book in a series, it is very, very dense, and especially because the magic system in here is so detailed. And I think that you definitely need to have a lot of pages in order to properly explain it, and it does require a bit of like getting used to and like getting into the story. Personally, I love Alex as a main character, and honestly I can sort of see why people wouldn't like her, but I liked her a lot, and I think that she was one of my favorite things about this. I liked all of this. That's why it's a 5 star. I feel like I need to have a little bit of time to process this book because so much happens in here. I'm gonna end this here. I got a new mug. Hi. It's outro time. Let me go over my thoughts on these 3 books, but also the other Dark Academia books I've read before, which I do not feel like I've read only 2, so I'm now searching Dark Academia on Goodreads because I refuse to believe that I've only read 2 Dark Academia books prior to filming this video, but that might be true. But that just feels so wrong, but at the same time maybe it's because I know of so many Dark Academia books, like I just see it everywhere. I think the only other Dark Academia books I've read have been If We Were Villains and The Secret History. So before you go, this is my definitive Dark Academia book ranking right now. Worst to best. The Maidens was just like an average thriller with a little bit of Dark Academia. Like I don't really like it that much, but 3 stars is still like the right rating for it. My thoughts are the same as they were when I last updated you about it. It's just like a mediocre thriller. Ace of Spades was good, but I think as I've distanced from reading it, I think I might have, and as I've rewatched some of the footage of me talking about it, I think I like it a little bit less than I did right after finishing it, but I still think it's a solid 4-star, and I think it's one of the best young adult thrillers that I've ever read. If We Were Villains, 4 stars, but very, very high 4-star, I think. Borderlining on 4.5 because as I read If We Were Villains, it was like an experience. And the ending, I think, is still one of my favorite endings I've ever read. Ninth House, I finished it literally yesterday, still 5 stars. I'm much more confident in my 5-star rating as I've thought about it more, as it has plagued my thoughts since I finished it last night or last evening. I've been thinking about it nonstop and I want them back. And I really want the sequel. I just want more of Alex and more of Darlington and more of the whole everything about it. I love it so much. And I'm so happy that it was a 5-star. I'm just so happy about that. The Secret History, I think in my top 3 favorite books of all time. So, there's already so much that has been said about The Secret History. There's a reason why it is like the token Dark Academia book and why it's so many people's favorite Dark Academia book. I love it. Here are some of the Dark Academia books that I either own currently or that I don't own but still want to read in the future. I'm so happy that recently so many books have been published underneath like the Dark Academia subgenre or category. I honestly hope to write a Dark Academia story of my own someday, and I hope to add even more books on the higher end of this tier list. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.